Are you flying into Costa Rica for the first time? In this video, I'm breaking down for you the key things to know about flying into San Jose Airport, SJO, which one of the top mistakes a lot of people make is they fly into the other San Jose Airport. This is actually a really common mistake. All the things that you need to know about arriving, about departing, and more coming up. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Christine Lozada, and I have partnered with two very experienced Costa Rica experts to help you plan and book your Costa Rica travel. Check out the info in the description below. But the first thing to know is that not only do a lot of travelers, but other travel advisors, they will book people at the wrong airport. The main airport in Costa Rica is Juan Santamaria International Airport, or airport code SJO, but because it's San Jose, lots of people accidentally book SJC, which is San Jose, California. I used to live in San Francisco for a long time. That area is not close to Costa Rica. I'm just gonna put that out there. But it's important to make sure not only are you going to the right airport, but if you are trying to decide between here and LIR, make sure you check out the other video. But let's talk about this key part, which is what to know before you land. And this first one is not one that I expected because I actually do a lot of spontaneous international travel in which I'll book a one-way flight and then I'll see how it is and then I'll book a flight back. For Costa Rica, you actually have to have your departure flight. So in other words, when you arrive at the airport, you need to make sure you have your passport, your return flight, and your destination information readily available because they're going to be asking you for this at immigration. Let's talk about it. So once you've arrived at SJO Airport, when you head to immigration, it's important to know that yes, there are bathrooms before immigration, but not at immigration. So if you gotta go before you get there. The other helpful thing to know is that there is free Wi-Fi. So you can connect to the free Wi-Fi at the airport. And this is a great time for you, depending on how long the line is, to start texting with your transportation, which you're going to want to have your transportation set up, but set up well, which is why I've partnered with travel advisors that can give you the best advice because not all transportation is equal. But once you get to the immigration area, I mean, the lines will just, it really depends on how many flights are all coming in at the same time. And this is just an airport where flights sometimes come in at weird times or lots of flights come in all at once. So the wait time can vary widely. On my trip, I only waited about 30 minutes, which was pretty good, I'll just say that. But unlike other international airports, like for example, I was recently in Thailand or at Bali, for example, you have an option for paying for like a VIP or expedited line for immigration. That does not exist in Costa Rica. So you're just gonna have to wait it out. So be ready with that information that you need, right? Your passport, your departure flight, and your destination, your hotel, your Airbnb, where you're going, which check out the video about where to stay in downtown San Jose or elsewhere in Costa Rica if you want some tips around that. But the next thing you can expect is to go through duty free. So as you're going through duty free, one of the things I was wondering about is, like, is it necessary? Mostly because I didn't want to have to carry anything out of there from a wine and alcohol standpoint. And I would say if there's something specific you want, the prices here are actually pretty competitive. It's not impossible to get things. It all depends on where you're going in Costa Rica. But this is a good place if you have something specific like a bottle of Johnny Walker Black label, for example, that you want to get, or a certain bottle of champagne, I would consider picking it up here. Which, by the way, if you're getting some value out of this video, cheers that like button, consider subscribing. And there's a reason why I've partnered with two people who have over 50 years of experience either living in or traveling to and booking people on Costa Rica trips. Check the info in the description below. You're not gonna wanna miss it. All right, let's talk about the baggage claim and what happened after that, because it wasn't totally what I expected. So baggage claim was what I expected, which is it's hectic. Yes, there are restrooms available there. It's not that big of a place, so it did feel really crowded while I was there. But after you go through baggage claim, the customs process is a little bit different than what I expected. There's actually, it went fairly quickly, but there's a pretty long queue. And generally, I don't know, customs is different in every country, right? But specifically for Costa Rica, you have to stand in the line and you have to put your bag on the belt and everyone has to go through it. And so just know that that is something you can anticipate. So once you get through customs, I was wondering, like, is this a good place to exchange money? And generally speaking, no, the airport is always the worst place to exchange money. There are ATMs there, so you can consider using them. Just be wary if they are offering a certain exchange rate within the ATM. It's just something to look out for. But one thing that I did that I recommend is just show up and have your transportation already set. I'm so glad I did this because I didn't have to worry about having any money because I had taken care of these costs ahead of time. And then I could have my driver take me to a legit ATM or place to exchange money. But let's talk about transportation because this part is actually, especially if you want to start your vacation feeling like it's a vacation and not stressful, this is a place you're going to want to spend some time. So the normal traveler me is like, well, can I just take Uber from the airport? Because it shows up, right? And this is a top mistake. I'm like, oh yeah, you can, but you can't. So Uber is not allowed to pick up directly at San Jose Airport, but that's not totally clear in the app when you pull it up. But Uber might be right for you. So here who it's for. Uber's right for you if you have so little luggage, like you've no luggage, and you can take the 3 to 5 minute walk outside the airport. It's not a designated pickup area. It's just they can't pick up at the airport, so they'll ask you to meet them outside the airport. If you speak great Spanish, great. Like this might be for you. And if you know where you're going, you know what you're doing. Like this, then Uber is right for you. Uber was not right for me. I had a lot of luggage. I was exhausted after my flight. And it's the type of airport that when you exit, there's a lot going on. It felt similar to showing up at Cancun Airport. I'm just going to put that out there. That's a busy airport. So then you might be wondering, right? What about a taxi? Because there are 3 official taxi companies that work with the airport and are, quote, legit. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel legit. So there were taxi drivers who, before I even got out of the airport, like as I finished passing through customs, who were like right on me. And for the sake of, it's important to me to provide helpful tips for you guys. So press this button, I'm working hard for you. I wanted to just ask them because I was just curious what they would say. And it felt like, and nothing else in Costa Rica. I loved Costa Rica. I traveled to Mexico a lot. Almost nothing about Costa Rica reminded me of Mexico travel. Mexico is a very large country, but I'm talking about like the Cancun area, for example. The taxi situation did feel like that, in which I was feeling attacked, that I was feeling, is this a scam or is this legit? Or it didn't feel great. And I speak Spanish, right? I have enough Spanish to be able to get by. I do think if you speak great Spanish and you know what you're doing and you know what the price should be for you to get to your destination, negotiating with one of the 3 key taxi official companies is a great option for you. But do expect to have them approaching you and to be doing like the weird, at least this was my experience, the weird pulling you aside and talking way too close to your face and trying to negotiate that, this is good here, but here's the price. I'm just like, I'm so stressed out right now, which is why I'm really glad that I had transportation set up, and not just any transportation, but the best transportation. What's unique about Costa Rica is that pricing wise, especially if you're traveling from the United States, having a private driver actually does make a lot of sense. It really does. Both from the standpoint of reducing stress, having a guide, and also having someone who's really reliable to take you around on your entire Costa Rica experience. This was one of the best decisions I made, which was having the same person taking me around for the entire week that I was there. But not only that, when you come out of the airport, everyone has their signs with your name on it, but there's a special VIP area for drivers who are, I'm just going to call it as more legit than others. In other words, they have the right certifications, et cetera, to be able to be in that space. So as soon as you walk out from the customs area from the airport, you will be seeing them first, right? And you'll have the ability to, while you're on the free Wi-Fi, if you don't have cellular service, be able to be messaging with them. But it was just such a relief to literally walk out of the airport, know that my person was right there because we had been messaging on WhatsApp, and then to have my luggage handled and taken straight away into the car. Because when I look online, Yes, there are lots of shuttle and like private drivers and such. And you're like, okay, well, that one, like, that one's really high in Google, in the search. But it's like, are they actually going to be good? And that's why I have curated who I worked with. And booking the right drivers is really important. So make sure you check out the info in the description below. We want to help advise you on your Costa Rica trip and help you book it at a more competitive rate than you might think. All right, to make sure you land in Costa Rica with a good experience, let's just recap how to avoid scams and stress. When you arrive at the airport, you're gonna make sure you have your passport, your departure flight information, and the hotel or wherever you're staying information readily available. Then you are going to connect to the Wi-Fi and have your driver set up in advance. Make sure you've already downloaded WhatsApp and you've connected with that driver so that they know when and where to find you, especially if they're not in that VIP area that's easy to find once you exit the airport. And then this next part, I want to talk to you about once you've had that amazing Costa Rica trip, let's talk about what it's like departing from SJO Airport. So it's important to know that the San Jose Airport in Costa Rica is not that humongous. It's only 2 terminals and less than 24 gates. But there are a decent number of options in terms of like food and things like that. It's hard for me to want to give you advice on how early to go to the airport, right? Especially if you're flying internationally, you're not going to want to cut it close. But there's enough options of places to kind of like eat or hang out. I'm not talking about tons and tons, but there's enough of them that it's not going to feel awful if you go early to make sure you check your luggage and are waiting, etc. But there is one reason why you might want to head to the airport early, and that's because the roads going to the airport, and this is why having a private driver is really important, because they are very aware of alternative routes and road closures that I'm just going to put this out there. I would not personally rent a car in Costa Rica. That's a whole other conversation. Check the other video about that. But the roads to the airport can get really backed up. And so while you might be going to the airport early, you might be in traffic for a long time getting there. Mine was pretty backed up, but I was able to, because I was anticipating getting to the airport 3 hours early, I was okay in the end. San Jose Airport, Costa Rica. These have been the helpful tips. If you have one to add, put it in the comments below. We're all a community. This video is part of a playlist, and book your Costa Rica travel with us. We have expert advice. You might want to check out some competitively priced packages that we offer, but there's nothing better than being taken around Costa Rica by experts. So check the info in the description. I'm Christine Lozada. I'll see you in the next video in this playlist.
The sound effects are the best part.
I just realized when he pushes us, he's trying to get us to flip.
No, he's not. That's my amigo.